The Man in Line with Andy Wint.
Good afternoon. Welcome to Man in Line on Manx Radio. Open line through till 1 today, so the floor's yours. Lines are open, 66 13 68. Text on 166 177. WhatsApp on the same number, but you will have to have us in your contacts, and you can email studio@manxradio.com. So, 2 years, they reckon then, to get this information for our wind farms on the Isle of Man. What exactly is going to happen in the meantime? And when we may get the wind turbines, we don't know. 12 months data is collected, then compare it with 10 years historical data to produce an irrefutable wind resource study. Several existing sources of data for wind speed are available on the Isle of Man. There was a 30-year wind data numerical objective analysis of boundary layer database, a 12-month measured wind data from a study by the MEA, and a 30-year wind data from the Ronaldsway Meteorological Office. Now, the average wind speeds identified for each site will be published in the Phase 1 Environmental Assessment Report. The southern sites got the benefit of data from the MEA studies some 23 years ago, in 2000. Background noise data collection means the creation of an audible map of location now versus the future. Now, the consultants Wardell Armstrong have advised that the unit audibly has less sound than a car on the slock, they say, is the least intrusive of sound recording available, and is the least intrusive frequency impact on wildlife. So that's SODAR. SODAR able to measure wind speed by taking advantage of the Doppler shift. You know, as Doppler is when the emergency sirens change frequency when they go past you. It's an apparent change in frequency of an acoustic signal perceived by a fixed observer relative to the moving source. So that's what's going to happen in the future for the SODAR device, collecting wind speed data and wind turbulence for irrefutable wind resource study for the future. That's what that situation is. We'll get more of that as we get closer, but I mean 2 years to actually get the information. If they say we're going to have these wind turbines up before the end of 2026, that's cutting it fine. What do you say? I was due to have my driving test, says this correspondent from Adam, who says, it's Adam. I was due to have my driving test on the 23rd of August, but it was postponed due to the Manx Grand Prix practice sessions taking place that afternoon. But I was only told the day before. Had they scheduled my test for a day which wouldn't have affected, I could have been driving by now. I'm now waiting to be fitted into an already busy schedule. Is anybody else affected by this? And I wonder, what's the waiting list now for a driving test, Adam? We'll see. And this impacts many people, because some people actually need a driving license to work as well. Maybe a job's dependent on getting a license. That was the 23rd of August, postponed due to the Manx Grand Prix practice session that afternoon. Still waiting, says Adam. We wish you well, Adam, and if anybody else is caught between those pincers, then please, by all means, do get in touch. If you haven't yet fixed your tax return, then government wants to help you. All it'll take is a journey to the sea terminal. There are some dedicated sessions being set up to help people who want to file their tax return online, but maybe not quite sure how to do it. Just a few weeks to go. I'm sure you're circling the date in your diary, the 6th of October. is the deadline for submission of personal income tax returns. Now, it's the preferred method for many people on the island to do it. 60% of people, 6 out of 10 people, file their annual tax return using the online service. Now, if you haven't yet done it and you'd like to know how to do it, if you don't want to do it, then don't take any notice. But if you want to know, if you want to find out how to do it, to file your income tax online, there are some sessions taking place. If you want to book a session for help getting started, or you're already registered, assistance with navigating the system and resetting forgotten passwords. You haven't forgotten your password, have you? Or login details. Thursday, 14th of September. That's a week today. And there's another one on 3 weeks today. So a week today, Thursday, 14th, 10 till midday and 2 till 4. And the same 3 weeks today. And it's the Get Online Centre. Do you know the Get Online Centre? It's in the C terminal. It's got that snazzy kind of typeface that gets, as you go into the C terminal, directly there on your left. So you can give them a call if you want to book a session. It's a 30-minute slot, absolutely free of charge, but then they'll need your tax. 685-224, 685-224, or you can email GOC, Get Online Centre. Get it? goc@gov.im. They're encouraging you to take your own equipment in, laptop, a tablet, iPad, smartphone, or what have you, and they'll just go through the whole thing with you, be familiar with your equipment, navigating online services. If you don't own suitable equipment, there are some iPads available there for you to do it. That's a week today, Thursday 14th, 10 to midday and 2 till 4. 3 weeks today, Thursday 28th, 10 to midday and 2 till 4, for helping you file your tax online at the Get Online Centre in the C terminal. 685-224. If you want to get in touch as well. Can we have a day without the wind farm, says 011. Well, good luck, wind farm. Maybe you don't think it's important. Lots of people do think a wind farm is important on the Isle of Man. So we'll see. How much is this study going to cost us, says Des. Well, as yet we don't know. I was on the historic double-decker bus horse tram this weekend on Sunday between 11:05 and 3:20 from Derby Castle, and between 11:20 and 3:05 return from the Villa Marina. It was about the historic. What about the historic? Oh, it's this weekend, is it, Carol? Oh, you're plugging it, are you? This weekend. This weekend, so at 11:05 till 3:20 from Derby Castle, and the return from the Villa Marina. So the historic double-decker bus is running this weekend. Oh, it was a plug. MEA was arm's length, and who is checking Manx Care spending? I don't think the MEA has anything to do with Manx Care, but we'll leave it there on 313. But that's what happens with this SODAR thing that's collecting all our information for the wind turbines in the future. Doug?
Hello, this is Doug Farragher. In conjunction with Manx Radio, I'd like to invite you to join us and learn something about our native Gaelic tongue, the language of man.
If you want more, you can go to our podcast section because it's all there. We're rerunning Abershen, the Say That series, and free of charge. You can learn to speak Manx simply by going to the podcasts. Are we a Christian country, says this is the guy who emailed in the other day and just says the supporter of a sister dying who's come to the island was interviewed recently and talked about importing compassion. Well, thank you, A. Charles. If you want to get in touch and say this on air, by all means, but we've read out your email already. Or didn't you hear it? Are you listening? Anyway, if you want to talk about it, by all means, the question of a sister dying is often raised on Man in Line. So, by all means, if you want to throw something in, then do get in touch. H. Oh, this is Henry who just said, I find it amazing 2 MHKs from Douglas didn't seem to know about what's going on at Lord Street Flats. What is going on at Lord Street Flats, I wonder? New gas boilers are being banned. The gas power plant is going to be replaced. So what exactly is the gas going to be used if it's on the island, as Kroger say? Well, I think we've mentioned before. Have you emailed him before, Jonathan? Do you know, I think you have. Yes, the gas plant, the gas power station is years away, absolutely years away from being repurposed or, by getting got rid of. Oh, thank you, Lucy, in for that. My understanding is the SODAR wind measurement unit will stay at the Eristane for a year, then will be moved to Druidale. I don't understand how it makes sense when each year's weather is completely different. Well, it's different. The usual protocol will be to measure at both areas simultaneously, so obtain like-for-like measurements within the same year. I'm totally against wind farms. This is Julian, by the way. I'm totally against wind farms on the Isle of Man, so I don't want any measurements done, so I'm just making the point. Thank you, Julian. My cousin visited last week, was bowled over by our heritage transport and the incredibly friendly staff. His only confusion was, and I think you know what's coming, says Sarah, why don't the horse trams run the whole length of the promenade? Thank you, Sarah. Some people, it has to be said, are against the horse trams. They don't phone Man in Line that often, but I know some people are against horse trams. There are certain politicians within Tynwald completely against the horse trams. They don't say much very often, but you do get the feeling there is a minority of people who don't want the horse trams. So I just wonder, in these times of financial stress, whether the horse trams, do we decide once for all about the horse trams? What do you think about it? Just regarding vitamin D, says a texter, an anonymous texter. So you take this with grains of salt. This is anonymous. I think it's important to let your listeners know the NHS recommends no more than 4,000 IUs a day of vitamin D, as it could be harmful. So having up to 5,000. Well, actually, you put 50,000 units a day is not only irresponsible, it could be dangerous, overdosing on vitamin D. Okay, there may well be people who listen and believe claims that they hear on the radio. I agree that vitamin D supplements can help the overall health of people, but it's got to be done responsibly. But then again, that's an anonymous opinion, unsigned.
Hi, Andy, it's Daisy here. I'd just like to ring up and to say thank you to Julian for his information regarding vitamin D. Everything he's quoted and stated is true. I'm a severe vitamin D sufferer, and everything he says is what doctors have told me, and the information leaflets, I get the information from that as well. And everything he says is kosher, and like he always states where he gets his information from. Well, you don't have to be professional. If you're a vitamin D sufferer, you know the ins and outs of how much we need to take vitamin D and how important it is. And he didn't frighten me in any way whatsoever. And I don't know, because we're all intelligent beings. When you hear something, you go and do your own research, check it out. There's nothing far-fetched or wrong in what he says. Thank you for giving everybody a voice, including the lady with the negative view regarding Julian. And I just want to say thank you, Julian, for your information. Thank you, and you as well, Andy. You do a good job. You give Manx people a voice. Bye.
There was a mention about there being no garden waste service and what will the bin men be doing when there's no garden waste service? This is about Douglas Council. The council operates a trade waste service, so for the 8 weeks that they won't be operating the garden waste service, the crews will be sharing the workload, undergoing training, potentially assisting with recycling and processing, and Christmas and New Year is within the 8-week period, which is generally a busy time. So staff also take some of their holidays in time. In short, the staff will be occupied And it's not the case, as some people might imagine, that they'll have nothing to do in the weeks when they're not collecting garden waste. So there's an 8-week interregnum with no garden waste collection, but the bin men will be working. Howard's on now. Hi, Howard.
Hello, Andy. Yesterday we took a trip down to Port Eden on the steam railway, and it was a good trip down. It was lovely, but the guard that was on our train, can I pay him a compliment? Even my wife said how smart he was. Even with his shoes polished and everything, I said to her, he looks like he would be ex-military personnel because of his smartness and his courtesy and how he looked after passengers, frail, infirm, and just ordinary everyday passengers. It was a pleasure to travel on the railway yesterday. So we went down to Port Air and just stayed down there for a while and then come back on the later train. But that lady was asking about the horse trams. Now these are all that train that we came back on yesterday at 4 o'clock. There was 5 coaches on it, and all of them were pretty well full. So whether they'd been down to Port Ed and down the south of the island for the whole day, I do not know. But when we got off back in Douglas, there was a good crowd coming off it. So they are well used. So it's time that our people who are in government got their finger out and did something about the horse trams. Because we all know, and it's been debated many times, the money was there, the money was taken away and used for something else. But, as I've just said a minute ago to Chris, next year they put it off, discussing it until next year, 2024. Well, the majority of the MHKs that are in, to say power now, will be on the election trail. And they will be rabbiting on about all sorts of different things, but if some of them told me the time, I'd have to go and look for a clock to check it. But they're going to be more interested in getting re-elected than what it is discussing the horse trams, and they should be by law now put back onto the tramway service that they had in the plans. If I built a house and it wasn't done to the plans, they'd have to knock it down. But they seem to be able to get away with it. They've got a grass patch down there and £1 million spent somewhere else. Let's have some explanations as to where that went, not just say it's been reused. That is a pathetic excuse. But the Heritage Railway yesterday, excellent service. And one thing I would like to comment on, I noticed when we were going down, and I've noticed it before, on several parts of the railway system, they've got what we term as welded rails. And it's certainly a much smoother ride on them. All right, you missed the old clickety-clack, but that clickety-clack is doing continuous damage both to the locomotives and the carriages. And not only that, but it's creating more drop ends, as they call them, on the rails. So let's see if the government here, now they got a review, see if they can do the rest of the railway system with welded rails, and it will certainly save them money in the long term because the damage is getting done to their rolling stock.
We seem to sometimes, I mentioned, on this programme, I have to say it's a minority of people who think that the heritage railways aren't worth it. The vast majority of people are pro-heritage railways. Howard, so what do we say? How do you convince somebody of your case that the heritage railways are worth the money and worth the effort?
Well, unfortunately, those people, those self-same people, are, how can I say, tunnel vision. And in lots of cases, you will be completely unable to change their mind. And there's absolutely nothing you can do about it. But in your words, as you just said now, the majority of people want the railways. They want the heritage railways, etc., transport on the island, which is very much unique in a a small area like this, a couple of 100 square miles, you can ride a horse tram, electric car, electric trams, steam trains, and miniature railways, all in the one area, and if necessary, all in the one day. So that in itself is a unique selling point for the island. So, as I say, and you just said now, what about these people who were not wanted? One of their own members of Manx Radio was very much opposed to the tramway system. But they just want to have a tramway system. Well, they just want to have a road where they can belt up and down. So we don't have a tramway system. Let's put speed bumps on the promenade. Now that'll quieten the system down, won't it? It won't make it a racetrack, but it'll certainly, slow the system down, because that's where you're going to get it. People tearing up and down. So, yes, keep the railways by all accounts. And yesterday's experience, it was a lovely day. So I just said to my wife, let's go down to Port Eden, and we did. And that gentleman, there was a guard on our train. He was, he should be proud of himself. He was a prime example of what the people who do these things are presenting themselves, and that is a sales pitch for the railways.
Okay, all right, appreciate it. We're more than happy to give bouquets out. Thanks, Howard.
Thanks, Ed.
Good to hear from you. A note in from Grace in Laxey. I travelled back in a pet cabin on the Manxman last week, left at 3 p.m, absolutely on update on the delay. The taps wobble, the taps wobble and spin, apparently they already know about this. Water comes out of the bottom of the sink, soaks your feet. The drainage grids aren't secured in the bathroom yet. Trip hazard. Lots of rust spots on the paint on the windowsills, and the paint chipped off already. Grace, is that right? On boarding, the guy parked next to me. The guy parked me next to a pillar. I couldn't open the door. I travelled again on the Manannan last Friday, and again very late leaving. No update. Makes me feel like we should be grateful there's a boat at all rather than expect a standard of service. I'm not normally fussy, says Grace, but a bad start. Brenda's on now. Hi, Brenda.
Yes, hello, Andy. I'm just wondering what's happening to all the little cafes on the island, which we've all enjoyed over the previous summers. A lot of them seem to have closed. The Golf Cafe at Port St Mary is closed. Bradder Glen, I understand, is only going to do weddings and functions in future. The Cosy Nook, well, that's pretty much a disaster. Friends who went recently said they couldn't get a coffee. There were alcoholic drinks and I think soft drinks available. And then there's the cafe at the Arbor, which I understand is closed. I'm just wondering...
The Niarbel one's closed?
I believe so.
Oh, I hadn't heard that.
Yes, I just checked this morning with the tourist office and they said it had been closed for some time.
Now, bearing in mind, whoever's operating this have to make money. They've got to...
Oh, yes.
So, presumably there's something in that. Either there's not enough trade or something's wrong somewhere.
Yes, I'm not sure who owns these various places, whether some of them may be owned by the local commissioners or
I think the Niarbel one, is that a Manx National Heritage venue?
I think it is.
And I think the Cosy Nook is the Port Erin commissioners, certainly, and I think Bradder Glen's the commissioners as well.
Yes. Well, the Cosy Nook's lost all its charm, unfortunately.
So where did you used to like to go?
Oh, well, the Cosy Nook was my very favourite. And I quite often went to the Golf Cafe in Port St Mary. And Bradder Glen, too, as I live in the south.
So where do you go now?
Well, I don't. I stay at home.
Oh, Brenda.
Yes, I know.
You need to get out.
I know.
Okay. All right. Thanks for calling, Brenda.
Yes, I just wonder whether anybody else has noticed this and is suffering from the same problem.
All right. Well, thank you, Brenda. All right. Have a good day. And if anybody else has noticed, cafes and restaurants seem to be closing. I'm hazarding a guess that they're not going to do it out of choice. It's out of necessity. So I heard Bradder Glen is going to become a kind of venue-only hospitality place. I didn't know about the Cozy Nook, and certainly I thought that the Portsmouth Mary, so that opening, I'm sure Niarbel Calf, apparently the rumour is, and again this is skeet, so take this with grains of salt, but there's a problem with subsidence at Niarbel Cafe. So we'll find out more about that. We haven't heard that from Manx National Heritage, but if anybody can tell us. Regarding yesterday, and the bus driver says, Rob on 819, when are people going to learn? Screens don't stop the infection from airborne particles. Everybody coughing in the bus. Anyone coughing in the bus, and everybody's going to be at risk. The mask is a respect to others if you have an infectious condition, says Rob. Julian's on. Hi, Julian.
No, it's not.
Oh, it's Julian, sorry.
Don't be getting me mixed up with that Julian guy now. Go on. Have you got the aircon on up there today, Andy?
I have, actually, yes.
Yes. Oh, it's I'm enjoying the climate change.
It's what we used to call an Indian summer.
Yes, an Indian summer, but we can't call it that anymore now. We've got to call it multi-ethnic day or something. We can't call it an Indian summer anymore.
No.
So, no, we can't go down that road. Just listening there yesterday. I believe they're trying to bring Miss Isle of Man back as well, aren't they, Andy?
Actually, I'm going to talk about that later. Now you've mentioned it.
Well,
what do you say to it?
Well, I believe there's 2 entries in at the moment. Isle of Man government's got an entry in, and I think Steve Elkins, and I think misinformation. I think they're going to enter that.
Oh, there you go.
I don't know who the winner's going to be.
I thought you were bringing back the ghost of Terry Kringle with Miss Isle of Man.
And Gordon Connolly. There's some names from the past. I see yesterday the vitamin D subject cropped up again, and listening to Sandra. Was it Sandra that was on yesterday?
Now, let's get this straight. You are not a medical practitioner, Julian, yeah?
I am not. It's for entertainment value only, Andy. Yes, not a medical practitioner. You know what? I've got to say. We've talked about this for how long now? Vitamin D. Myself and Julian have been on that subject right from the great COVID days. And I've got to say, I've always been a believer in the D3 levels. It's what I've read up on. And I had the dreaded COVID lurgy last year. And I can see how people get caught out with it. I've never felt anything like it before. But the first thing I did, I went on to 8,000 IU of D3, zinc levels and magnesium, and it was done and sorted in a day. Now, you know I'm a great believer in vaccinations. So I put my trust in what I was told about D3, and like I say, I banged my levels right up, and all I can say is, from my point of view, I was done and dusted in a day. The worst of it was out of my body and system.
Well, the other thing is, if you want to up your vitamin D, surely live in Florida for 6 months of the year.
Now, there's another thing as well, Andy. There you go. You know what? I never thought of that. Just a thing to Sandra there. She's going on, she made some comments about Julian there, and I think, like I said, this programme is a bastion for freedom of speech. There's not many places that you can go in the UK that you can actually phone up and talk to ministers directly and members of government. So I think, freedom of speech, we need to keep it. It's a great programme. Sandra, you must remember as well, don't get confused with doctorates. We had, during the COVID times, we had a doctorate of history and a doctorate of music telling us to lock ourselves down. So doctors, don't assume that doctors are always medical doctors. Doctors are doctorates of different things. I think one of our new rolees in our government is another doctor of history. So, I think the code for getting into high ranking in government is being hospitality of a RESTOR or a history student. So, it's... Don't believe everything that you see. Go out there and read up yourself and look for all the other stuff that's not getting told to you. And I think I mentioned quite some time ago, the medical industry and big pharma, it doesn't make money out of well people, and it doesn't make money out of dead people, but it makes money out of ill people. Something to bear in mind. I think I'm done for the day, Andy. I'm going out kayaking.
Good for you. Thank you. And remember, Julian is not a medical practitioner.
Only for entertainment value only.
25 to 1 on Manx Radio.
The summer furniture sale is on now at Riley's in Cool Road, Braddon, with up to 25% off top brand ranges like Norfolk Leisure and Pacific Lifestyle, so you can relax for less. Riley's. Follow them on Facebook and Instagram.
70 million workdays lost. A cost of up to £99 billion to the UK economy. Can your business afford to ignore mental health? St John Ambulance have partnered with Mental Health First Aid England in a bid to transform workplace mental health and support staff. We are offering adult mental health first aid training courses to encourage early intervention, helping you recognise the signs and symptoms and guide a person to the right support. Call St John Ambulance on 674 387 today.
From our castles to our cottages, our museums, and the Great Laxey Wheel. You'll find hidden treasures around every corner when you visit a Manx National Heritage Site. Fill your summer making treasured memories with Manx National Heritage. Sites now open every day. By visiting, you help protect our treasured island for generations to come. Plan your visit today at manxnationalheritage.im.
Whatever your style, you'll find something stunning to enhance your home at Miller Chaps of Ramsey. From classic elegance to new trends in home design, Miller Chaps have 2 fabulous floors packed with fantastic new furniture, furnishings and homeware. Whether you're looking for fabrics and wallpapers, new flooring, a comfy sofa or unique artwork to complete your look, you'll find it at Miller Chaps, along with much more from their vast inspirational range. Find your style in store today at Miller Chaps of Ramsey.
Get ready for another winning weekend on Manx Radio.
It's the Isle of Man Food and Drink Festival on the 16th and 17th of September. And this weekend, you could win a weekend pass and a Robinson's breakfast hamper.
Visit manxradio.com and answer the competition question for your chance to win. You can enter as many times as you like.
Then make sure you're listening to Manx Radio Breakfast on Monday morning when we'll announce the winner.
Make this your winning weekend with your nation station, Manx Radio.
The Man in Line with Andy Wint.
22 minutes now before 1. Julian's information is well researched with reference to vitamin D, but exercise caution when you explain symptoms and treatment, not a clinically trained... I think we get the picture about this. Please don't take anything that you hear on Man in Line as an instruction to do anything. So let's just go that far. Regarding trains, your man says people have tunnel vision and can't be persuaded that the trains are worth it. My wife often tells me when I try to persuade her that I'm right. Thank you for that. I was told by somebody who's moved to that... I was told by Robin, who's now moved to the Tynwald Inn, that M&H wanted to change the lease. So that's Robin. Is it Robin Watterson? I think was it there at the Tynwald Inn now. All right. I don't know. I don't think anybody is disputing vitamins are good for you. The point being made that non-medical professionals make baseless claims about vitamin D protecting you from COVID, says Steve. False information. Well, again, Steve, this is for you to make your mind up. By all means, if nobody's saying that everything you hear on Man in Line is the gospel truth. This is a public comment program. People make comments. Now, as long as everybody keeps a civil tongue in their head and doesn't contravene the laws of physics, then I think that's about where we stand. Everything else you can make your mind up for, surely. Whistle Stop Cafe in Port Erin's open all year round, and it's where locals go. The Whistle Stop Cafe in Port Erin, says Christine. I'm entering Miss Isle of Man, says Des. I'm going to identify as a woman. Well, the Cosy Nook always closes for winter, says 581. And Maud, 920, is advocating the Whistle Stop Cafe at Port Erin Railway Station. Royal College of Nursing, that's the union that's bringing this strike on next week, say that most nurses are grade 5. Now, their own pay scales on their website say that's between 30,000 and near 40,000. Grade 6 are ward managers, up to 50,000. Specialist nurses can get 100,000. Manx pay terms and conditions mean most nurses are paid even more, that without overtime and shift allowance. They should think of the clerks, cleaners and porters on minimum wage who've been offered 2%. Surely, says Dick, somebody on £100,000 a year doesn't need £15,000 more, as not all nurses are starving. Says, well, there's due to be this strike next week, and that might impact us, you and me, because next Thursday the 14th, Teresa Cope, the boss of Manx Care, was due to be on Man in Line, and there's due to be that strike next Thursday. Now, it's unless anything else has been offered, so Teresa Cope may not be on a week today, simply because of the fact that she's obviously got more things to do on the day at Manx Care if there's a strike. But anyway, notionally, next Tuesday, certainly Alex Allinson, Dr. Allinson's going to be on. He is a doctor, a medical doctor. Our Treasury Minister, Ramsey MHK, Dr. Allinson, is on next Tuesday. Potentially, Teresa Cope's going to be on next Thursday, but obviously, if there's a nurses' strike goes ahead, then she won't be on. I'll tell you who is on now, though, absolutely, definitely, and it's David. Hi, David.
Hi, Andy. I'm no expert either, but you take everything that comes from everybody with a pinch of salt. But this is the truth. On Monday, just quickly on the subject I wasn't going to talk about, but anyway, on Monday we took a load of people to the pub at St. John's, and Robin treated us well. So 11 people were absolutely satisfied when they left the building. So I would recommend anybody going there. But we do struggle. The problem we've got is, and I can understand when you ring up places, when you have parties, say, of 10, 15 or 20, we always try to pre-order, which we do, makes life easier. But sometimes people say to you, oh no, we haven't got enough staff on, or we've only got one chef or one cook or whatever, and it does cause a problem. But don't forget, I'll tell those businesses out there, there's a lot of people get out and about in the winter months, right up to Christmas and then after that. So don't be disheartened. We're out there to be served. But I wanted to come on, and it might be right to come on if the lady doesn't come back from Manx Care is. I've had some people on to me concerned about when you're in hospital and you may be a little bit elderly and then you're trying to get back to your home or sheltered accommodation or other accommodation there. And I just wondered if anybody's struggling with doing that, because you have to be assessed to make sure that you can actually, for a start, go home. Does anybody look after you? Are you on your own? Is your bathroom or your facilities upstairs and you haven't got a stair lift? But they assess people. And I just wondered what numbers there are now. Maybe that's why the hospital is busy all the time. It's an awful term. They used to call them bed blockers. But if there is some help there with occupational health to get people home. But I wonder whether anybody is actually struggling, Andy.
So what's the way out of this again, do you say? What happens if somebody is struggling? What do they do? Well,
they got to beat their chest a little bit, don't they? They have to get friends and family to do stuff, get into the hospital and say, if my parents are not alive anymore, but when my mum was on her own, I had to make sure that she had a bath seat, little things like that, small adaptations, handrail grabs, to get back into or get out of a bath, or just have people be supported to convert to showers.
Do the Red Cross do any of that? Are the Red Cross still around? Because they used to have a big place where they provide things like that.
I think they are, and I shouldn't do this, but I will. But it's not to name anybody. But so I know somebody who's looking what we call a little bath seat at the minute. We call a little hop up. It's like it's a plastic thing with feet about 9 inches tall, just so they can get on the edge of the bath and wash themselves. Little things like that. We have and Andy, I'd love to spend the afternoon with you talking about. There's up by Kirby Nurseries, as you go up there, there's a DHSS warehouse full of crutches, Zimmer frames, all sorts of adaptations and aids. And I always remember when I was there, when we used to go to civic community sites and stuff like that, to drop rubbish, the amount of people who don't return equipment back to the the hospital.
So that unit's still there where you take back all the stuff and the wheelchairs and this, that and the other.
Yeah, did it myself. It must be 2-3 months now. Yeah. But to help me sit on the toilet, frame was brought back, clean as a dandy. Crutches. What else did I have? I had a bigger seat, which was put in the shower, so I could actually wash myself. And these are the sort of things people shouldn't be worried about. And I do worry that everybody concentrates on the hospital, which is great. But the social service element of it, whether it's homes like Glenside coming on stream, nobody's come back to me to say we're a month away or 2 months away. I see the boilers burning away there, so they must be testing the place out, and the gardens are getting knocked into shape. So when's that going to happen? And the people from Retna Bay are going to have some comfort.
Okay, all right. Thanks, David.
See you, lad.
Good to hear from you. Sarah says there's going to be a new tea room in Port St Mary in November. Oh, lovely. The Whistle Stop Cafe's fabulous. Great cakes at Port Erin, says Sarah. Looking forward to that then. A new tea room in Port St Mary. Just a quick note. Do you have premium bonds? Do you hold premium bonds? Have you bought premium bonds? Now, we got a message in, just a query it was in from Maureen actually last week, who just said, why is it when premium bond winners are announced, they never come from the Isle of Man? Well, from the Manx Radio newsroom, Dave Moore has been finding out more. Do you hold premium bonds?
Premium bonds, or national savings and investments, as they're now more formally known, were introduced in 1956 by then UK Prime Minister Harold Macmillan in a bid to control inflation and get people saving.
Give premium bonds the happy way to save.
Those who invest are entered into a monthly draw where prizes ranging from £25 to £1 million can be won. Even though they're issued by the United Kingdom government, anyone living in the Isle of Man's entitled to buy them. Each has a value of £1, and anyone wishing to buy must purchase a minimum of 25. However, when the monthly winners are announced, it seems those lucky enough to have been selected are always from the UK. Why is this? Well, there are strict rules in place to protect the identities of those chosen, and that means the locality of individuals is not revealed if the town they live in has less than 100,000 premium bonds owners. So, if a £1 million winner came from the Isle of Man, this would be listed as overseas. A spokesperson for NSNI says they're unaware of how many Manx people own premium bonds. However, they do know there are just under 40,000 holders in the Channel Islands. There are no rules or laws in place to prevent anyone born or living in a Crown dependency to buy them. All that's required is a bank account which accepts BACS transfers. Since the introduction of the £1 million jackpot, there have been 5 overseas winners. Now may be a good time for any bondholder in the Isle of Man to check those numbers again.
Do you hold premium bonds? Have you won on the premium bonds lately?
After a long spell on the road, FC Isle of Man are back on Manx soil this weekend and hoping to make a winning return to the bowl in the NWCFL Premier Division. The Ravens welcome Prestwich Hayes to the island on Saturday evening, with the hosts hoping to rediscover their form in front of a home crowd. Join me, Rob Pritchard and Sam Palmer for FC Isle of Man versus Prestwich Hayes this Saturday, kicking off at 6 p.m. Manx Radio will be providing full live match commentary on our DAB and AM 1368 channels. Live coverage of FC Isle of Man on Manx Radio is supported by Selton, investing in our community.
Sadly, the Ravens went down 3-1 at Pilkington, but everything you can hear this coming Saturday.
Just Care Products for mobility solutions. At Just Care Products, we have a range of rise, recline and fireside chairs to try. These are British made and perfect for people with mobility issues. With finance available through our partner Conister, come take a seat at Just Care Products. Find us behind B&Q, or for more information, give us a call on 627 177. Spectrum Windows. If your house needs a new look and your windows let in rain, keep those cold breezes out and make it look like new again. Spectrum Windows, Spectrum Windows. Quality through and through. Great work guaranteed to you. Spectrum Windows, Spectrum Windows.
The Isle of Man Festival of Motoring is back with the biggest lineup of American cars ever seen on the island. And what's more, you can take a ride in some of them. Come and see the cars from 10 till 4 on Loch Promenade on Saturday, 17th September. And the Sporting Bears will be giving you the chance to take a ride in one of their amazing cars, with all proceeds going to Wish Upon a Dream. Hit IOMFM.com for details and timing. The Isle of Man Festival of Motoring, revving up the island this September.
As Gaelic Nara.
Avashan Rish. A Gaelic, the Manx Gaelic, Ginian Amera, the mother tongue of Elian Vannin, the Isle of Man. Avashan Rish. You can catch up with more of Manx Radio's Manx language programmes in the weekly podcast Abershan Rish. Say that again. Avashan Rish. Shene, that's the one.
The Man in Line, daily interaction, debate and exchange of ideas. Broadcast on Manx Radio from midday till 1, Monday to Friday.
Christine's on now. Hi, Christine.
Hi. You just mentioned about the new cafe opening in Port St Mary.
Yeah.
Well, it's the people that used to have the golf pavilion in Port St Mary that are opening it.
Oh, whereabouts is it?
It's in the old Manxonia building, right opposite the Co-op in Port St Mary.
Okay. And when does it... It's November then, is it?
I don't know. I haven't heard. I know it's opening, and they're opening like a food shop beside it, because there's a little, what used to be a little woolen shop where you went for your jumpers and cardigans and so forth, and that has been turned into a little shop which will sell. I suppose it's something similar to a farm shop.
All right. Okay.
Or something like that. But they're having the cafe in the main building off what was Manxonia.
Smashing. All right. Well, we're happy to give that a plug.
Yeah, well, I heard the lady saying that there was no cafes and where she liked to go. And she said the golf pavilion. And it's the same people that have been running it for a few years.
Where do you go for a cup of tea, Christine?
Well, I go to the Whistle Stop. And we used to, when my husband was alive, we used to go down to the golf pavilion and we'd go up to Bradder Glen. Well, of course, they're telling us all those are closed now. So, yes, we used to like to go out to the Sound Cafe as well.
Okay.
Watch the seals, especially this time of the year. Watch the seals.
Good. All right. Thanks for the information, Christine. Appreciate it.
That's fine. Okay, thank you. Bye-bye.
All right, now 7 minutes before 1. Fred, angry Fred. Calm down, Fred. It's a done deal with the wind turbines. These monitors up the slot. Surely the MUA will need to improve the roads on the Isle of Man first. How the heck are they going to get to the sites intended? Well, they haven't decided which site yet, so presumably, Fred, if it's the north, it will all be dragged up. Surely it'll be dragged up the Sulby Valley. But then again, that's a very windy road. Otherwise, it's going to be the mountain road. It's going to be up by the reservoir, really. And if it's the south at Erie Staine, surely that will have to be explained as to how that's going to happen, if the wind turbines are going to happen. I think it's a scam, says Manx Will. Wind farms are a scam. White elephants for the public to get conned into, not like we have a choice. Everybody I know thinks the same thing. Conclusion, the Manx public do not want the wind farm, says Manx Will. I concur with Howard, text to 557. The staff, the guards, the engine drivers and the firemen of the steam railway and tram drivers and the staff are absolutely exemplary. They should be applauded, says John. If you're a train fan, by the way, a rail transport fan, then tonight, 6 o'clock on Manx Radio, Mike Buttle is on with the second of his MER 130 series tonight, just after 6 o'clock. Yes, the new tea room. Everybody's plugging the new tea room in Portsmouth. All the best to you. I do hope it goes very well. There was a bench in the village garden where Terry Kringle used to interview the Miss Isle of Man contestants when he met up with them later. Thank you for that, Dick. Oh, we miss Terry Kringle. We certainly miss Terry Kringle here at the radio station. I hold premium bonds, and I win nearly every month. You must have thousands of the darn things. Not big wins, but most months between £150 and £300. The more bonds you have, the better the chance. How do you check? Do they tell you, or do you have to check? I was given a premium bond, text to 406. I was given a premium bond as a christening gift In 1962, I won £25 when I was 7, says Neil, and that was a lot of money. And don't forget the excellent cafe and restaurant, the Cafe Red, opposite the Port Erin petrol station. We should have a tea shop map, shouldn't we? Red Cross only have a charity shop now. There's no Red Cross building on the Cool Road, says Martin in Onken. So that's not there anymore. Thank you also to, and somebody is also plugging the best omelette you can find anywhere, says Brian in Port Erin. As well as the Whistle Stop in Port, I'd like to give a shout out. There we are. Oh, so it's the Red Cafe. It apparently does the best omelettes that you will find anywhere. Tomorrow, by the way, we've got a rescheduled tourist show tomorrow. What's going to be Deborah Heather and Tim Crookall from Visit Isle of Man. That's been put back. We've rescheduled that to Wednesday, the 16th of October. Deborah Heather from Visit Isle of Man, the chief exec, and Randall Corwell, the chair, are going to be in on Wednesday the 16th. So tomorrow on Man in Line, we've got 2 hospitality professionals are coming in. Dave Mackey is coming in. Dave is a tourist guy, well known in the hotel trade, and Jed Power, the man behind Isle of Man Golf Tours, long-standing hospitality professional, does ground liaison and stuff like that. So tomorrow, tourism with a couple of professionals, Jed Power and Dave Mackey. And if you want to mention a point or you've got something you'd like to raise, email maninline@manxradio.com or call the answer phone on 682 631. Thanks to Chris Quirk on the phones today.